Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to your Wednesday Wisdom with Spirit, where I will tune into my guides and see what the message is. So today is not a day where I use cards. Today is just where I open up to Spirit and see what's there. So I'm just going to take a moment to tune in, and we'll see what the message is. So just hold on one moment. Okay, this is coming from the Three Guides of the Light. First thing they showed me is they said, don't discount the messages you received under this previous moon, the new moon that we had. It was quite revealing, and there was like truths or understandings that surfaced or were beginning to surface. They're saying, don't discount what you understood or experienced under that moon, and go back to it. Go back to some of the understandings, because there's more to pull from as you move forward from this point. Okay, something really significant with that moon energy. They're also saying, they're saying the moon energy is more significant. Okay, more significant than we realize. And the reason is yes, we can say, and I've spoken about this, like we're made of water and the moon has an effect on water, and we know that because of tides, right? There is that. But they're also talking about the energetics of the moon, and this is where we can really connect into the astrology of what's happening, like where is the moon, what sign is it in, what does that mean? The moon, the moon energy works with us whether we are recognizing it or not. And the key is to recognize it, because if, say, there is a very fiery moon, okay, a very fiery moon, say the moon's in Leo. With the moon in Leo, if we're not aware that the moon is in Leo, that energetic of Leo, this really fiery movement-based energy, can come into our lives, and it moves through our body because we are made of so much water. That energetic is kind of infused into our being and has to be expressed out. And if we don't know, what's happening, it gets expressed out in whichever way it needs to. Like, it has to go somewhere, and so it's just going to express. However, if you're aware of what the moon is doing, what the energetics are of it, you then get to take that energy and utilize it, right? So it's kind of like if you were being given all of this water, you could utilize that water and create a pond system that then creates this irrigation system, and it can turn your entire garden into this absolutely fruitful oasis, right? Or you could have that water just completely dump into your yard and destroy everything because it had no specific place to go. Same amount of water, right? So if we are thoughtful of what the moons are doing, it doesn't mean we have to study every moon, but if you were to start to recognize the new moon and the full moon, what sign they're in, what it means, just a quick little like Google search, or there's lots of people talking about the moon signs. It will give you some really good intel of how to move forward, how to move through whatever you're going through. They're saying pay attention to the moon, and this last moon gave lots of insights. So something to ponder and going back to whatever that was, okay? All right, I'm going to see what else there is here. Okay, they're also talking about divine timing is at play right now. And divine timing can represent a lot of different things, but they're saying actually it's more specific to messages. Oftentimes I talk about divine timing with, meeting the right person in the synchronistic alignment. And they're saying there's actually divine timing happening now that's underway in terms of messages for you. So we might find that our dream state becomes very like this very clear communication pathway, or we might find we hear certain things on the radio or on the TV or read in a book that are like very specific to what we're going through. It's divinely timed communication pathways right now from your spirit guides. And that has to do with the energy of February. It has to do with the momentum energy. It has to do with so many things divinely aligned to right now. And so there's something to be said for those moments where you get that. They're saying, they're calling it a stroke of genius. They're like those strokes of genius. And they say that with a smile, but it's like when you have those aha moments or those things that click into place, these understandings, those are divinely timed connections with your spirit guides to give you the messages that you need. So pay attention to them. Even if sometimes you hear one and you're like, that feels significant to me, but I don't know why yet, note it, write it down, note it however you would, because they're building this, they're showing me these like building blocks, and they're building up this kind of full picture understanding of your journey, your trajectory, whatever it is you're working on right now. They're building up the full understanding of it. They're saying the full understanding up to this point, like up to what we can know, right? So they'll never reveal stuff in the future that is very dependent on free will, because then if they tell us exactly what that will be, then our free will is then taken away because we've been told, and then we're likely to decide based on that thing rather than having the free will of that moment. There's a very unique honesty and purity, and they're saying resilience too, which is interesting, in connection to free will. All of that plays into free will. Like even when we make a free will decision that maybe goes the wrong way from what we wanted, there's a beautiful essence of resiliency in that they said is so valuable to our journey as well, which is why when something is really going to affect our free will, Spirit really steps back, because that it almost like interferes with a law of non-interference from them based on that free will law, where we come into this human life to have free will to choose, and there are certain things that they cannot intervene with because it is so free will based, right? So they're saying they will give us as much as they can for the understandings that we can have at this time, and they're saying it is meant to be very fruitful. So the whole reason this is coming up is because we're going to be getting a bigger chunk of information, and that feels very individual too. We will see that on the collective. We'll see that in different things that come up, whether that be news, medicine, economics, all of that. But it's also going to be really coming up for you individually to understand your path, your journey, your direction more. So really notice that divine timing for communication. Don't discount the little pieces of info that you get. And they're saying we'll try to bring it in a series of 3s, but we can't always do that. And I feel like that's because there's this speed of which this is coming in. So just take note of the things that happen, right? Like for example, if Ladybug, and I know I use this often, but if Ladybug is a spirit sign for you from your guides, so you have one day a ladybug lands on your shoulder, the next day you see a truck drive by with a big ladybug drawn on it or painted on it, and you're like, but I want it to happen in 3s. There might not be time for it to happen in 3s, but it happened in 2s. It was, 2 reminders of it. It means there's a divine timing at play right now, so to pay attention to that sign. I hope that makes sense. It's funny because their energy is a little like, they come forward and then they pull back, and they come forward and they pull back. And I was just saying, I was like, why are you doing that? And they're like, because we have to be very careful not to give you all too much. Because even telling everyone that there's a divine timing makes them aware of a divine timing of communication coming. Therefore, that could start to infringe on the free will. And they're like, that's why we're being very cautious in how we present this, which I think is really neat. And I think it's beautiful they're bringing that through. So all to say, I will leave that with you all for now. Divine timing is at play. Check out what's been going on since that moon, the new moon that we had, and pay attention to the moons as we move forward, because that energy being expressed through you can be expressed in the way in which you choose with your free will. All right, everyone, I will leave that with you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.